Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. The Kybalion. So today, Anthony here, I'm going to talk about the third hermetic principle, which is the principle of vibration. What it what does it mean, and also kind of how can we apply it in our lives? What does it have to do with us as beings, and how it relates to us being kind of towers that emit and receive vibration ourselves? So you see, when you look at reality, at everything that you see around us, the mic, the pen, the cell phone, everything that we see as physical, which seems solid and unmoving, actually moves, because inside of that pen there are different atoms that move, right? They don't may not look like it. Actually, most of it is space, most of it is energy. But the things that we see is there's atoms that move and at different rates. For example, if I look at this air wick, right? It can exist. You see, there's a glass, a solid, and there's a liquid. The thing is, the reason why the liquid moves is less dense, right, than the glass, is because the atoms vibrate slower in the glass. The atoms of the glass, they vibrate way slower, right? They're more bunched up. They don't move as much as if the water, the atoms of the water, of the perfume, they move around more, which create its liquid form. And there's also the perfect example of water, ice, and gas, right? Water that can exist in three different states according to the speed that of the atom vibrating. The less they vibrate, the more dense they are. It's solid, it's ice, then it's water. It vibrates more, and then more and more, and it becomes gas, ethereal. Well, you can see reality, even physical, astral, and spiritual matter the same way. You can chart it the same from the lower realm, physical realm, until the astral realm. You keep moving and you keep increasing into the spiritual realm. These are the highest frequency, the realm where energy vibrates at the highest speed. And this is where they become slowed down, they become more dense, and becomes more physical. Mm-hmm. So you see, reality exists in different densities and different frequencies. But let's define what is a vibration, right? A vibration is basically a simple movement to and fro, like a trampoline, or where you put the music too loud in your car and the windows are vibrating. You know, there's this this va-et-vient, this to and fro movement. But the frequency, that's actually this cycle of to and fro, according to a measure of time. Meaning, how many times is that movement happening in a certain amount of time, within 10 seconds, you know? And the higher the frequency, the faster it moves. Meaning, how many times can a person jump on a trampoline when you make it bounce, when you make it go up and down, right? Like in this chart where it goes slow, slowest frequency, and to the highest frequency, more energy. So when you start understanding reality as energy, matter is basically just energy. Not only matter, but also light, magnetism, electricity, all those different forces are energy that exist in different state, different form of different frequencies, different form of vibrations. This is what our reality is made of. What we think is physical actually is more unseen energies. Most of reality is energy that we do not see. The small part that we see that is physical is what is really solid. So, and what's interesting is it's not only matter like physical, but there's also other components of us like consciousness, thoughts, emotions. Those things also have their own frequency. They vibrate, and the human body is actually a electromagnetic tower. There's electricity. We have a nervous system. We have electricity going through us. Like our spine, it's like this column where there's electricity going through, and but there's also a magnet. Some there's a current going through a person, going through a cable. There's going to be a magnetism around, a magnetic field formed around it, and it's really known by science today that we have a magnetic field around us. You know, it's not only the Earth that has a magnetic field, but us too as a being. That's about, I think, 5 to 8 foot from us, all around us. You know, so we feel people's vibe. We understand it when we can feel in their atmosphere in a room, the vibration, the frequencies, according to the emotion. We can cut the tension sometimes. We can feel somebody's vibes. We can receive information. Most of our communication is not talked, it's not even speech, which is itself is a vibration of the sound that we receive, but it's those unseen energies, right? According to how much we're aware of them. And so when we understand the human body as an electromagnetic tower that not only emits but receives frequency, we understand that we are different forces of us that can be subject to other people's frequencies, but we can also influence others. This is the first step of self-awareness, learning how to affect others and not be affected by the outside. That has to do with the kingdom of God within us that needs to be a shift that we'll need to shift so we can shift the world before allowing the world to shift and to mold us according to its, well, whatever predetermined square it wants to fit us in. But you see, when it talks about the emotions and the thoughts affecting matter, right? There's Dr. Masaru Emoto that has this water crystal, how to water crystal experiment. You can see the documentary on YouTube where people's thoughts, people's prayers, people's emotion, intentions actually affected the way that the shape that water took. Positive emotion create coherence between the atoms. They create beautiful structures, right? But bad emotion, bad intents, bad words towards waters actually influenced it and actually made it have decoherence, deconstruction, destruction. It spiraled towards destruction instead of spiraling towards um, um, harmony, right? Even the words harmony, disharmony between people and elements and nature, it's all related, it's all forms of energy, you know? And you see these words which you use in music being a harmony, in this harmony, right? It's frequencies, it's sound, it's wavelengths. So when you understand that everything vibrates, you understand that there are different influences all around us. And its application is this, because as electromagnetic towers, we're like those we're like remotes. We tell the world through our frequencies how it's supposed to treat us. Whatever we sow, we end up reaping. If we live in a state where we're all negative, we're always bad thoughts, bad things happen to us, we speak, we think about it, we have those negative mindset, the world will literally reflect that back to us, and we're stuck into this reality. If you want to change your reality, you have to change your frequency, like in a radio. If you say you don't like the music, you don't like the music, you don't like the music, and then you keep complaining, hoping that complaining is going to change things. No, no, no. You have to change the frequency that you're listening to. You have to change the frequency. It's an internal frequency change that changes the outer reality, right? Kind of like in a different ladder on the ladder. Or if you want to see a different floor in your human experience, you have to go into the how do you call it, the thing that goes up and down, not the elevator but l'ascenseur, and then you press the button and you go higher on the higher floor. And when you talk about the frequency scale, right, there's a map of consciousness by Dr. David R. Hawkins, who was a scientist, a psychiatrist, and a doctor, but also a mystic, right? He developed this map of consciousness where you see kind of this chart of frequency from low to high, people's view of life, people's predominant emotional state, and he charted them according to the lower frequency, right? When we have shame, guilt, apathy, grief, and anger, and he goes and increases up to pride, and then there's a shift from the lower to the higher when you step into courage, neutrality, acceptance, reason, love, and there's the emotional state associated with it, right? When you're in blame, humiliation, anxiety, and craving and hate, you're living into the lower realms, into decoherence. And the reality that you can expect for yourself is more one that's going to keep that cycle. But you have to step into optimism, trust, reverent bliss, understanding, forgiveness, which are the higher frequencies, realm of higher vibration. If you don't want to go up and down the ladder, that is your choice. But you understand that you can actually start changing your inner frequencies to different activities, to different spiritual practices, meditation, or just decide to treat people better, right? And it's and so it changes your view of life. Then your life will literally start changing itself. And so understanding vibration, like instead of trying to change things off when we go into physical, we try we're trying to change your plan where we keep like a bad herbs. If you don't pull out the things from the root, from underneath, from the seed, which is the vibration that you keep sowing into the world, well, it's gonna keep growing and growing in your garden. The bad plants. You can't just try to change things from the outer, which is useful, right? Our action is necessary in the physical, but sometimes we try to move things from the physical to the physical instead of going underneath, seeing what's in the vibration that we're living in. And so this, again, we're electromagnetic towers. We can change our frequency, we can change our vibration, what we emit, and we can be aware to not be always influenced by other negatively, because there's this thing called entrainment. It's this process of making something have the same pattern or rhythm as something else. Sometimes there have been a lot of things that are coming out in the news, and it can cause a lot of negative entrainment where people are panicking. Oh, it's cooked, we're over, it's done. Life is so bad. Look at all the negative things, and be so focused on it that we start being entrained into negative instead of actually going through the process, feeling the emotions. It's all good in that, but then choosing to shift our focus into heavenly realities. And when we do that, what happens? We actually start being entrained in the mindset that can lead us to action that are more kingdom like, more divine like than hellish. So that's basically all for today. Understanding the third principle, that everything is in motion, everything has a frequency of vibration, and then you can just learn how to align yourself with one or the other depending on the life that you want. Peace.